Cool. So we are live and ready to go. Hi, everyone. We can't see you, but I'm sure you can see us. So I'm sure you can. Hi, everyone. So welcome to the code review evening info session, which is really exciting. So before we kick off, I'm just going to start off to acknowledge the First Nations people as the original inhabitants or as the traditional owners of the land on which this meeting is taking place today. So in this case, I'm from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. So it is the Nyanjan. And I recognise the country north and south of the Brisbane River as the home of both the Turrbal and Jagera nations. And I pay deep respects to all elders, past, present, and future. Fantastic. So thank you all so much for joining to our code review session. It's going to be an amazing evening. We've got some fantastic speakers lined up, ready to go to share their knowledge and wisdom and hopefully to inspire you as well to move on to your coding journeys, which is awesome. So I'm going to hand it to our wonderful enrollment advisors, which is Brendan, Dallas, and Goran. And they're gonna talk through a bit about Coder Academy, what we do, some housekeeping, and we'll hand it over to the speakers and then we'll get the evening started. So I might ask them to join and let's kick things off. Take it away.
Thanks, Ashley. Hi, everybody. Good that you could all make it here this evening. My name's Brendan, and with me here are Dallas and Goran, and we, between us, are the guys that you speak to on the phones and probably get emails from, etc., etc. So what we're going to do this evening, guys, is there's going to be a brief presentation about what the boot camps are. And then we are going to bring on 3 of our recent graduates who are going to talk about their journeys and their stories and what they're doing now. And during that time, if you have any questions of any description, please just drop them in the chat. And Dallas is going to just talk about that whilst I find my screen that I'm going to share. Over to you, Dallas.
For sure. Thank you very much. Hey, everyone. My name's Dallas. So just talking about a little bit of, housekeeping. Essentially, we want you to throw, all your questions you have into the chat there, whether they're, for Brendan about the pitch for the boot camps or whether it's questions in regards to, the speakers. And what we'll do is we'll essentially feed them to the speakers. And if we don't get a chance to sort of answer questions as we go, there'll be a short period here and there to answer questions from the speakers. Also, down the bottom on your chat, if you get your chat window open, if you could please click the little button that says all panelists and change it to all panelists and attendees, basically so that everyone can see all the questions that are being asked. And other than that, if you just want to go ahead and say hello in the chat so we can basically find out that you can hear us. Awesome, cool. And most of you all have your name there, which is perfect. Basically if your name is not your name, please change it to your name so we know who we're speaking to. Other than that, back over to you, Brennan.
Brilliant. Okay. So I'm hoping now that everybody can see my screen. Am I correct? Yes. Somebody give me a.
We can see your screen. We're all good.
You can see it. Beautiful. All right. So guys, I'm just going to spend 10 minutes talking about the boot camp, just so that you all get the detail before we go to the speakers. Can you become a full stack web developer in as little as 6 months? Yes, you can. We run the full stack web developer bootcamp in 2 formats. One is super intense for 6 months, and one is a little less intense, in which it takes 10 months. And we'll talk about that a little more in a second. Why would you even be thinking about full stack developer skills? Some pretty good reasons here. Average salary of developers and programs, 110 grand. Average meaning there are those earning considerably more than that, and those earning considerably less are junior developers tend to go into their first job earning usually between 65 and 75,000. That's in Sydney anyway. It may vary a little bit in other parts of the country. In-demand skills. Are full stack web developers in demand? Yes, they are. ranked in the top 5 most in-demand skills, and there is enormous amount of growth in that area, with 80,000 developer jobs forecast over the next 5 years in Australia. So if you are thinking about training as a full stack web developer, why wouldn't you? Just some of the companies where our graduates working at, where our interns intern at. Many of those you will obviously know, others you won't. Smaller companies, mid-sized companies, we have hundreds of industry partners that our interns and graduates go to, but the graduates who are going to be talking to you later can talk more about that. The full stack, so fast track, flex track, boot camps, these are the kind of roles that they set you up for. Full stack web developer, front end developer, a back end developer. If you don't understand the jargon, don't worry. Basically, full stack means you can do the front end, which is the pretty stuff you see on the screen, and the back end being all the stuff that holds that up that you can't see behind the scenes. So full stack means you can do both this and this, which is obviously very attractive to employers. Software engineer, product manager, or mobile apps developer. They're the kind of roles that our graduates go into. This is the nitty-gritty detail. Essentially, as I said, we do 2 pathways, the fast track and the flex track. So fast track is 6 months, and it's 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So super intense. Get in, go hard, and get out into your first job as quickly as possible. Flex track, exactly the same syllabus, exactly the same qualifications, same internship at the end, same access to fee help, same everything. But instead of 5 days a week for 6 months, it's 3 days a week for 10 months. And the 3 days a week for the next intake of flex track are Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So fast track, super intense, starts in about 3 weeks' time on the 22nd of February. Flex track starts 1 month later on the 22nd of March. We'll just talk about here the blended delivery. In both cases, I'll talk about fast track first. In fast track, 3 days are in the classroom, face-to-face on campus, talking and touching other people. Don't sneeze on each other. 9 to 5, and that is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those 3 days are on campus. Thursday and Friday are done virtually. So you have to be on campus the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday, you can be in your bedroom slippers at home. But you still have to be logged in between 9 and 5 on the Thursday and Friday. For flex track, which is the 3 day a week, 10-month option, you are in class on campus for 2 of those days, Monday and Tuesday, and you are remote learning on the Wednesday. Again, still have to be logged in 9 to 5. One of the key points about Coder Academy Bootcamp is it is a higher education. It's a higher education. We're a higher education institution, so you get a higher education qualification, which you can't get anywhere else in Australia for a coding bootcamp. And what you come out with is a higher education diploma of IT. Why does that matter? For a couple of reasons. Number one, employers know that there's been a bar you've had to jump over, and it is a higher education bar. So the qualification speaks to what you've done. Number two, because we're a higher education provider, that means that there is access to fee help. If you're an Australian citizen, you have access to fee help. So you don't need to pay any of the fee up front yourself. Fee help, the government will pay that for you, and you pay them back later on once you're earning over a certain amount. The third reason that the higher education diploma of IT is important is because if you wish to go on and turn this into a computer science degree, you can do. So because this is a higher education course, universities around Australia will give credit for Coder Academy graduates. So for example, in Sydney, University of Technology Sydney, UTS, gives credit for the entire first year of their computer science degree to Coder Academy graduates. So you could either go to uni for 3 years and do a computer science degree, fine, you come out with a computer science degree, or you can do a Coder Academy bootcamp for the first year, and then in the next 2 years, complete your computer science degree. You do 3 years either way, but if you do the bootcamp first, you will be a better coder than your lecturers, you'll be a better coder than your tutors, and you'll certainly be an awful lot better coder than your peers on the course. So you get a double skill, if you like, if you do it that way. The fee, $19,980. That's the same for either the flex track or the fast track. So effectively $20,000, provided you're a domestic student. But as I say, there is access to fee help whereby you can offset that until after the course. If you're an international student, it's $24,950. If there's any questions about any of that, just drop it into the chat now, and Dallas and Goran will deal with that as we go. Here's a quick breakdown of what you'll be learning. So essentially, term 1, HTML and CSS. You'll build a portfolio website, you'll start Ruby programming, and you'll build a terminal application. Again, don't worry if you don't understand some of the jargon. The way the bootcamp works is it's about 50-50 theory to practical. So there's an awful lot of practical stuff. So pretty much from day one, you are building stuff, which ends up in a portfolio that you have at the end to show any future employer. Term 2, Ruby on Rails. So Rails is like steroids for Ruby. So Ruby is learning to program in that language. Rails is kind of like a library of pre-built stuff that makes using Ruby an awful lot faster. Then there's a bit of discrete maths. Don't worry about that. You learn to deploy and you build a two-sided marketplace. In term 3, you start on JavaScript, which is the next big coding language, and also the MERN stack. MERN is to JavaScript what Rails is to Ruby, what cocaine is to addicts. So MERN stands for Mongo, Express, React, and Node. And again, it is the steroid for JavaScript. And your final project is to build a full stack web application for a real client. So again, for any future employer, here is a website that I actually built for a real employer that functions, that works. And the final part of it, and this is not part of the bootcamp, this is an add-on, this is an added value that we add on there, is the internship. So talk briefly about the internship. The internship is optional. You don't have to do it. Most people do it, but you don't have to. Towards the end of the course, we start to get to know where, and you start to get to know where you'd like to go next. And wherever possible, we match you up with one of our industry partners. And the internship is 4 weeks unpaid. So the best way to think about it is like a 4-week interview. So you are in there asking of the employer, is this the place that's going to teach me what I want to know? And are these my people? And the employer is looking at you and, you know, checking out the work that you do. Do you ask smart questions when you get stuck? Do you fit well with the culture and with the development team there? It's a really strong program. 50% of our graduates are employed. 50% of our graduates who go through an internship are employed immediately. Their internship finishes, and in fact, at least one of our speakers today is now employed by the company that she interned with. Again, any questions on that stuff, throw it in the chat now, and Dallas and Goran will pick that up. There are scholarships for each of the boot camps. For the fast track boot camp, there's a Women in Tech scholarship. So for all you guys here, too bad, I'm sorry. For the Flex Track Bootcamp, there's a Diversity in Tech scholarship. The scholarships are worth half of the course fee, so effectively $10,000. They are open to Australian citizens and permanent residents. And just one thing to understand, you can't apply for a scholarship before you have applied for the course. So first you have to apply for the course, go through the interview process, make sure you're appropriate for the course, be offered a place, then you can apply for the scholarship. So that's us. There's me, there's Goran, there's Dallas. I think we look better in caricature than we do in real life. You can connect with Coder Academy in all of those different ways. And the more you are connected with us, the more stories you will find which come from the students themselves. So this evening, you're going to hear from 3 graduates, but there are stories out there from students who are currently in the boot camp, from guys who were there previously. Get yourself familiar with what happens in the boot camp. This is an important decision that you guys are on the cusp of making. We very much want you to make the right decision for yourself. And the 3 speakers that are lined up are here, and they're going to be with you in 1 second. The only other thing I would say is, if you are thinking about this course seriously, put in your application, whether it's for fast track or flex track. Put in your application. You don't have to wait until you are 100% certain. Put your application in. What the application does is it triggers an interview. And it's only after the interview that we know whether you're appropriate for the course and you know whether the course is appropriate for you. So don't hang off until the last second and then drop your application in only to find that there's no space left on the course. It's only 3 weeks now left till fast track. If you're thinking of the fast track bootcamp, put your application in now. If you're thinking of the flex track bootcamp that doesn't start until March, we already have a significant number of people fully enrolled in that course. It will fill up rapidly. Don't hang back, put your application in. Let's get the interview done, after which you're in a much better place to know whether this is the right thing for you. So with that said, I will pass back to Ashley, and Ashley is going to introduce the speakers.
All
I'll get rid of my
right.
screen. Hang on, let me get rid of this. Yes, good.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Brendan. That was awesome. So, like Brendan was saying before, so we're going to introduce our speakers one at a time, and during each presentation, use that opportunity to ask any questions that you want to add in the chat, and then after each presentation, our enrollment advisors will be able to answer those questions. We'll ask those questions to the presenters, sorry, and then we'll be able to get through those as well. And cool, so without further ado, let's rock and roll, shall we? So I'd like to introduce Louise Flanagan, and she'll join us in a second, the presentation ready to go. So a bit of bio about Louise. She is what we can all consider as a CSS art wizard. And the reason being for that is during her FlexTrack studies, she did some incredible work using CSS. And when you look at it from afar, you cannot tell it's CSS. It looks like real artwork. It's absolutely incredible. But Louise did that. She, took a lot of time and effort to really craft and hone her skills. And now she is working as a developer at Mentally Friendly, which is where she actually interned at before. So she was part of our FlexTrack bootcamp in Sydney. And previous to that, she was working for the US Embassy in Canberra, and she was desperately, craving for that career change that would be able to challenge her, but also leverage her creativity, which I think we all love to have, and we all, yearning to have, especially to, essentially learn and to grow and to challenge ourselves as well, which is really important. So I'm going to hand it now to, Louise is here, yay. So I'm going to hand it now to the incredible Louise, and we'll get the presentation started. But like I said, any questions that you have, pop it in the chat. And then after the presentation, your advisors will ask those questions and we'll get started. So Louise, over to you, take it away.
Hey everyone, thanks Ash, that's really nice of you. Let me just share my screen. All right, can everybody see that?
Yeah, we can see your presentation, Louise.
Okay, cool, awesome. All right, let's go. So yeah, as Ash said, my name is Louise. I'm a Coder Academy graduate. It's great to be back and see some Coder peeps. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about my background, life at Coder Academy, and what's been happening since. So yeah, firstly, as I said, I'm a graduate. I finished in August last year. I actually did the Flex Track course, which was the one that's 3 days a week. But I'm now a full stack developer at Future Friendly, used to be called Mentally Friendly, but recently had a name change. And they're a strategic design and development agency over in Redfern in Sydney. So outside of work, I really love to create with code, and I quite regularly post projects over on CodePen. I've been learning quite a bit about generative art and experimenting with animations. But yeah, I actually found my love for all of this while I was a student. So my life before coding, I actually studied advertising at uni and worked in industry in London for a few years. Then at one point, when I'd had enough of that, I became a house elf and sold butterbeer in Universal Studios in America. When I came over to Australia, I worked in marketing and events for a few years. I worked in an embassy. Yeah, I had a number of different career paths. None of them ever really sat right with me. But throughout all of those, I actually had zero coding experience. So why Coder Academy? I'd always been drawn to the idea of learning, but I'd always talked myself out of this idea as well. So I never moved forward with it for years. And my reasons for talking myself out of it were, you know, I convinced myself I wasn't smart enough. I thought there was going to be too much maths involved, and I'm not a huge fan of maths. I didn't know how creatively fulfilled I would be. And that was very important to me. Lots of self-limiting beliefs. And another massive one was I'd already done a degree for 3 years and I didn't want to get into another huge uni debt. So I did quite a lot of research into different courses. And at the time I was looking, Coder actually had a course coming up in 2 weeks. And yeah, just after that, my stars started to align. So I ended up chatting with Brendan, and he told me about an open day that was coming up, and it was that same week. So I drove up from Canberra, got to meet quite a few different students and told them about my fears, and was really surprised by how many people I met that felt exactly the same. So yeah, next thing's next. I've kind of made up my mind, packed up my house and convinced my boyfriend to move to Sydney with me. The rest is history. So this is my cohort, all from varying backgrounds. Most had no coding experience or development experience beforehand. What was really great was that everybody had different strengths, which made for a super collaborative working environment. And yeah, I definitely made some friends for life throughout this experience. But this photo in particular was taken after we handed in our very first assignment. And I remember it was the first time I had to present something back to the bigger group. And I was so nervous. I was shaking, and I'm pretty sure I didn't even look at anybody the whole time I was talking. So aside from actually getting that qualification, for me personally, one of the biggest things that I took away from the course was actually getting over a fear of public speaking and presenting. So yeah, throughout the course we made numerous different projects, big and small. I've just posted a link there to the portfolio that I made while we were doing the course, and I tried to keep that up to date as we were going along. So if you want to have a look at some of the stuff that I made, then please feel free to have a look there. There are a couple of different full stack apps in there which we actually had as assignments. So the first one we made was a two-sided marketplace Rails application. That one was a solo project, and I built a place for developers to buy and sell their debugging duckies. The second big app was the Mernstack one, and that was a group project. My group, we made a booking management system for the Tooth Fairy, so very serious project, but we had heaps of fun with it. Learned so much as well. But aside from that, there's a bunch of other like little experimental things that I made, animations and stuff like that. Yeah, so feel free to have a look if you're interested in some of those different projects. So since FlexTrack, as I said, I now work for an agency called Future Friendly. I actually interned with them for a month straight after finishing. And then a week or so after interning, they offered me a full-time position, which is awesome. Personally, I found the transition between studying and working was actually quite smooth, even during the pandemic. Coda really helped us with interviews and getting to know different people in the industry and kind of finding the right fit, which is really important. Obviously, I was as nervous as anything starting a new job, but I did feel confident, that I could at least like go in and just get started. Like I had enough behind me to at least be able to do that. And one of the key things that we learned during the course was how to properly version control with Git. And I know like on my first day, this put my mind at rest so much because, I knew I could start contributing to the code base and I wasn't gonna break anything or cause a massive drama. So since I've been at Future Friendly, I've worked on a few different projects, 4 particularly big ones. The very first project I worked on was a mobile app called Ally, which is in the mental health space. So the app was built in React Native. By the time I started working on this, I had never ever built a mobile app before, never even touched React Native, but we did learn React at Coda, so there was definitely transferable skills there, which made that transition much smoother. And again, as I said before, having those version control skills just made everything much easier as well. Since working on Ally, I've been using all of the different technologies that are listed on the bottom right there. I'm currently working on a big project in C#. Again, never touched that. So the learning like literally never stops. And I think what prepared me best for post-student life was that Coder Academy taught me how to learn. That's not only by learning the fundamentals of programming or how to logically break down a problem, but by adopting a growth mindset. So that's all from me, but there are my contact details there if you want to reach out about anything, and thanks for listening.
All right, cool. So I think there were any questions might come through, but Louise, that was an incredible presentation. So thank you so much for that. And I'm always inspired just by your design and how you've put everything together, and especially your CSS. So amazing work, and really excited that you're still with Future Friendly, which is awesome. And I'm looking forward to seeing your journey as well come to life, which is really amazing.
Thanks, Ash.
No worries. So got any questions that anyone would like to ask Louise? Pop them in the chat and we'll be able to ask those questions to Louise. So does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask Louise? Here's one. Cool. So it's from Claire O'Neill. Oh, Brendan's here. Hello, Brendan. So question before I hand over to Brendan is, were you working on the side while taking the FlexTrack course? If so, how did you find the work-study balance?
Okay, so my intention, the reason that I chose the FlexTrack course was because my intention was to work the other days of the week. But I ended up not doing that, largely because of Corona. So my other days of the week, instead, I did spend time studying outside of our class days. So I hope that answers your question. Oh, Brendan, you're on
Brendan,
mute.
we've got Mike's off. Sorry, Brendan.
Thank
Doing
you.
troubles.
Sorry. There's another one there, Louise. How interested were you in coding before Coder Academy?
I'd always had this, like, something that drew me to it. I'd always been really interested in it, but unfortunately, for a long time, the voice in my head telling me that I couldn't do it was louder than my interest in it. But I'd say at least for a few years, especially when I worked in marketing, and I got to do bits with like a company website and things like that, and I always wanted to know like how to do all this stuff properly, because I didn't understand it, but it fascinated me. So yeah, I'd wanted to give it a go for quite some time, but the biggest thing for me was getting out of my own head.
I mean, I remember actually having the first conversation that you and I had on the phone. I think you were living in Canberra at the time, weren't you? And
Yeah.
and you were full of reasons why you couldn't possibly do it. But by the same token, you were on the phone, so it was clear that you kind of wanted to, but you sort of had an innate desire to go towards it, but everything in the forefront of your head was saying, "Oh gosh, I can't possibly. Oh, I'm sure it's all maths, and it's not for girls, or whatever." You were coming out with I remember a whole reason. You put an enormous number of hurdles in front of yourself, and
Absolutely.
and then within the space of about what seemed like 5 minutes, you'd moved your whole family, I think, to Wollongong, hadn't you? And was that right?
In Marrickville, right in
man.
Sydney.
Right. No, okay. And your boyfriend at the time, I think, was an electrician. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and he just upped sticks from Canberra and come with you, and it was like this huge shift in your life. And I'd be interested actually to know, at what point did you actually feel that you belonged there? How long did it take you to really sort of feel? Because you must have been doubting yourself, I would guess, a good way through the boot camp. Would that be right?
I don't know. I don't think so. So I think things changed for me actually as soon as I came up and did that open day. And I remember speaking with Jo, who was another student, but she's like super artsy, loves like making little creative projects and things like that. And I don't know, like actually just speaking to somebody else who had the same thoughts that I had just really changed my mindset. And then once I'd made that decision, I was like, I've been putting this off for so long, but I've wanted to do it for so long. I've now decided, so now I'm committed and I'm not going back. And I just move forward. And honestly, it like changed the way that I think about things.
Brilliant. There's a couple of questions here. What do you like best about your work, and were you hired as front end and then went full stack?
My work, I love the variety, particularly where I am. Like as I was saying, I've had so much exposure to different tech in the 3 or 4 months that I've worked there. It's insane. And I mean, where else like can you do stuff like that? I was hired as a full stack dev, not front end, but I tend to like gravitate towards front end a little bit more just because it's probably something that I'm stronger at. But in saying that, I'm still involved in back end projects as well. Yeah.
And there's somebody else here from the marketing industry saying, did you ever get the chance to use your coding skills for marketing?
Like while I was working in.
Well, I'm not quite sure actually. I would guess, yeah, we might move on from that. Oh, how much of your cohort finished the course approximately from those that started, would you say?
I'll be honest, I think mine was about 50%, but we had the pandemic hit us around halfway through the course as well.
Yeah, normally the dropout rate is not very high because we go through a selection process at the front end, which is what the application and the interview is about. Look, we'll just do a couple more, and then I think we're probably going to have to move on. How much do you think your creativity helped you with nailing the coding?
I kind of put everything down to my creativity. Because I think one thing that I did not realize is how creative coding actually is. You'll be in a room with 20 people and you all get the same problem, and every single person comes out with a completely different solution to it. So it's, yeah, all about creativity.
Beautiful. All right, I think we probably best move on. So Ash, if you want to introduce the next speaker. I'll disappear.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brendan. And thank you so much, Louise, once again. We really appreciate it. Cool. So our second speaker, here we go. So I'm going to introduce you now to Caleb. So Caleb is from our FlexTrack course, and he commenced his studies in October 2019, and he's from Brisbane, which is really exciting. So Caleb is currently a full stack software developer at Tanda, and Tanda are doing some incredible things. They are a software company that focus on rostering. So when you go to all work at cafes, or if you clock in, clock out, that's essentially what they do. So they're working on some really incredible things there. And before he moved into tech, he actually studied commerce, and he's also worked in recruiting. And outside of work, he loves to play sport, listen to podcasts, and interesting enough as well, competitive video games, which I'm really keen to learn more about as well, especially with 2020 and pandemic, with video games upping up with the Switches and the Animal Crossings. Lots can happen there. So, I'm going to introduce you now to Caleb, and he's going to be sharing all about his story and what he's currently up to. So I'll hand it over to Caleb. Take it away.
Hello, is my mic working?
Your mic's working, yes.
Awesome. Let me just present my screen. Is that showing?
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we can see it now. All good, all yours.
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Caleb. Thank you, Ash, for that awesome introduction. Just for the talk, I'll probably just go through a bit about where I came from before Coder Academy, how my time was during Coder Academy, talk about a few projects that we managed to make, yeah, we'll just finish off by telling you where I'm at now. So yeah, awesome. As the slide says, I finished high school around 10 years ago, and had no clue what I wanted to do after high school. And people who usually are in that situation choose to study business for 5 years. So that's what I did. Turns out after 5 years, that corporate really wasn't my thing. So I took 2 years off to try professional gaming out. But it turned out that 16-year-old kids were a little bit better than 22-year-old me at the time. So had a good reality check there, and decided to find a job. Just somehow fell into recruitment and HR, and really enjoyed my time there as well. But talking to people just sort of wasn't my jam as a career. But I'm here. So yeah. I guess why I joined Coder after that sort of after that transition. I was at work one day at my recruiting job, and I thought up of a startup idea that could prove to be fruitful. So I pursued it really hard. I ran out of money to find somebody to actually build it for me. So I thought, why not just build it myself? So did a quick Google, coding courses Brisbane, weighed up the options of either going back to university for 3 years or choosing a bootcamp that was much shorter, and yeah, because Coder Academy has a really good SEO, they were at the top of the options that Google spat out to me. So yeah, I applied in 5 minutes, and yeah, it was honestly, it was a really sort of snap decision for me during the time, but it sort of turned out to be one of the best decisions I've made my whole life, as cliche as that sounds. And I guess the reason that I really truly believe that is because of the words on the slide there. You know, just going through a few of them. You meet great friends during the course, lifelong friends, as Louise also pointed out. I still talk to them frequently. Most of them have also sort of landed dev jobs, so yeah, catching up with them is really cool. There's a lot of career optimism in the tech industry. When compared to the ones that I previously was in. Your work is rewarding. You can really do anything with code. If you sort of apply yourself correctly, code is just amazing. You can almost solve anything that you can think of, and that's really not an exaggeration at all. And one of the key other things is I'm always thinking at work. This is a reason why I really enjoy coding as a career path. Is no two sort of problems are the same, and I've never had a day at work where I'm just sitting there, you know, pretending to work and passing time and watching the clock go down to 5 o'clock. I'm always thinking, and that's something that my previous jobs didn't have, and something that I'm really grateful that I currently get to do. So yeah, that's a little bit of background. Moving on to what the course allowed me to build. Louise did a really good job explaining what they teach you, but I guess my focus will just be on sort of a project that I built during my time at Coder Academy with the skills they teach you. And it's actually insane. It's actually insane how much you get away from Coder Academy. Previously, I had no coding experience, and this was a project, the two-way marketplace that you get to build, I think, in term 2. And I was able to manage to build this. So it's probably one of my most proud works that I've done, and yeah, to this day. So here's a little sort of I'll explain what the app is. It's basically a two-way marketplace where people can cook food at home and sell it to other people. That's simply that. So you can register an account and you can create dishes. This is a little welcome page. This is your profile. My design skills aren't as up to par as Louise. So the way I design is I get inspiration from really popular websites, and I sort of incorporate their design into my own sort of work. Yeah, they teach you lots of things. Too much to explain in terms of what they teach you. If you have questions after, I can definitely to expand on the things that do teach you. But this is just, you know, showing you what you're capable of building, like a real full-fledged working web application live to the whole internet. You know, a little order history page there. Little dashboard manager to manage all your dishes. So the idea I had for this app was a platform where basically anybody could come on and manage the whole operation on this one platform. And that's why the features are sort of extensive. So a little order tracking page, more history pages, and yeah. It's yeah, just looking back at this app, I still think that being able to, from no coding experience at all to building this in sort of 2 months, I always awe at that thought. It's incredible. So yeah, with that being said, you really can build anything, and that's a really sort of cool feeling to have, and it's not an exaggeration at all. If Coder Academy gives you the skills to basically solve any problem, and that's the reason why it's sort of become one of my passions, I guess, and I'm very lucky that I made that snap decision that turned into this crazy sort of ending. So where I'm at now, I'm currently working for this company called Tanda. They do rostering and workforce management software. They're a very cool company. I'm really lucky. I got the chance to interview with them, and that was also part of Coder Academy's doing. They have a very good partnership program. I believe, could be wrong here, but I believe it's Dallas who sort of hooks up with a lot of the tech companies in Brisbane, and they're very proactive in trying to get you internships and also real job opportunities thereafter. Real full-fledged paid job opportunities, and they get you in front of companies that are willing to give bootcamp grads a go, and there's plenty out there. And I was one of these sort of examples where Tanda saw that Chefera app that I just built, and they thought it was crazy impressive, and that's all because Coder Academy taught me the skills to be able to do that. So yeah, currently working there as a full stack dev. And in my spare time, if you remember back to the start of this talk, there was a startup idea that sort of led me into this tornado of an experience that is a Korean dev, and now the startup idea is slowly becoming a reality. I'm starting to build it. It's called BitSpace. It's sort of a platform for raffling off small items on behalf of charities to help them earn more money. So that's happening on the side, and it's really cool to be able to see that a 2-year sort of process finally start to take shape, and it's just really awesome. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm not sure how long I talked for. It could have been too quick, could have been too slow. There are my socials, but yeah, that's me. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Caleb. That was amazing, and really excited to see and learn more about BidSpace come to life, because I think it's a really, really cool project. I think it's a really important project for what you're doing for the community. So thank you so much for that. Cool. So I might start off by asking the first question before I hand it over to the enrollment advisors. So we had a question come through. Is the acquired skills mostly around building up websites?
The acquired skills, I think, is the ability to learn and the ability to be persistent and not give up. I think that's part of what they sort of try to find in you when you first interview. I had no coding experience at all. I did one course at university, and that was it. That was really it. So I don't believe any sort of tech-specific skills are required or are a prerequisite. No, yeah.
Dallas, do you want to take over this one? I know you know Caleb pretty well, and also the Brisbane market, as Caleb was saying.
Yeah, so I think Caleb, you might have just misheard the question a little bit. He's actually chasing the acquired skills. So not the required skills, but the acquired skills. So what do you learn from the basically? Is it mainly about websites? Or is yes, I've said like it's about building websites and also learning to build web-based applications. So is that something that you'd probably agree with?
Yep, there you go. That's why I chose Korean tech, as English is definitely not my strong suit. Acquired skills, yep. So Coder Academy teaches you the fundamentals of building full stack web applications. So that incorporates the front end, all the pretty stuff that Louise had really good examples of, and also the nitty gritty back ends of how everything plays on the back end of web applications. So for example, on the techie sort of side, that's APIs, that's sort of databases, and yeah. So really sort of the end-to-end value chain of what makes up a web application.
Cool, fantastic, thanks. And so we've got one here from Anna. Did you get the Tanda job during internship? If no, did you do an internship? How did that go?
Yep, Tanda wasn't the internship that I did. I did another internship at this agency called Digital 8. So I believe they're I guess similar to Future Friendly. So they get projects from external parties, and I did my internship there. Tanda became an opportunity through Coder Academy when Steph, one of the old partnership managers, approached me to interview. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Tanda are pretty cool, and I guess so is Digital 8 actually. I've actually been in touch with both of them recently, and yeah, so Tanda always sort of approach us, you know, whether it's about internship and also just job opportunities they have available for us. So yeah, there's always something going on with those guys.
Awesome.
Cool. And give us a very useful advice you wish someone told you before starting the course. So Thang's asking, you know, whether there's anything you wish you knew before you started the course.
Great question. Just in terms of anything that I regret going through the course, really wasn't anything regretful, but I guess one sort of tip that I wish somebody to tell me was to really emphasize the persistence required. Boot camps, you know, although they do get you to places really fast, they are intense, and persistence, I'm sure everybody harps on about it quite a bit, but I'll join in on the harping. It's actually very, very much needed, and if you have a strong mindset and a strong growth mindset and good persistence, then you'll get through this no problem.
Cool. Awesome, thanks for that. Yeah, no, 100%. Basically, yeah, I also agree. The boot camps, they're intense, you know. The thing is, you know, we definitely encourage people to do it as long as you're passionate about it and you have, you know, the ability to learn, then, you know, you'll definitely succeed. It's just something that you need to, you know, get stuck into and get amongst. It's not something that you can't go into doing a coding boot camp half-heartedly. You really have to be dedicated.
And just to expand on that point, it's part of that is also sort of putting that effort in outside of hours as well. That's something that I think that if somebody told me, I would have definitely done way more.
Cool, awesome, thanks for that. And any other questions for Caleb specifically? So Anna's asking, did you get Tanda only based on the project you did, or did you have a richer portfolio that helped you as well?
No, so Tanda's strictly personality based. They sort of looked at my portfolio. They said, cool, that's cool, but they really wanted to get to know who I was. They hire based off culture fit. That's basically the only criteria. So yeah, I was lucky in that sense that I meshed well with their current peoples.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, like Caleb's introduced me to quite a lot of the crew at Tanda, and they're all really smart people and all fantastic devs, but they also have really good, I guess, personal skills, and they have really good soft skills. So they're just great listeners and great speakers as well. So it's kind of like that combination of two. So a lot of people think about that as well. Like they go, oh, you know, like going to be a really, you know, intense dev and sit in a dark room and just work on a computer. That's not what tech's all about these days. You know, you're allowed to have a personality, as you'll tell with, like, you know, all of our speakers. Everyone, you know, is able to talk to people. So yeah, basically, you know, you can be a really good talker and learn to code as well, and then it'll just take you further.
Hero.
Cool. I think that might be probably the last question. Oh yeah, cool.
Eddie dropped one now. What are the best after-hours study activities to be engaging in during the course?
Yeah, great question. Very good question. I didn't need to go too far to find activities outside of hours for me to do. Coder Academy give you ample exercises and concepts during the class that they teach you really quickly. And it's up to you to sort of absorb that outside of class. And you sort of, they do a really good job at encouraging you to go beyond what they teach you in class outside of hours. So I just filled my time by doing all the challenges, thinking of different ways to do challenges. Like Louise said previously, there's just so many different ways that you can tackle one problem, and it was just me sort of trying to find as many ways as possible throughout my after hours hours.
Nice.
Cool.
I think we're good with questions for Caleb. Thanks,
Yeah, cool.
Caleb.
Awesome, thank you.
Hand over to you, Ash.
All right. Cool. Thank you so much for that. And thank you again, Caleb, for your awesome presentation. So we're going to now hand it over to our third and final speaker, which is Emma Bindi. And she did the fast track course in Victoria, so Melbourne, which is awesome. So a bit of background on Emma Bindi. So Emma is an associate developer at 8 Squad, and they essentially guide you through a digital journey with a focus on human outcomes for your company and customers by leveraging Salesforce. So Salesforce is another really marvelous software as well, really designed to keep track of the customers, businesses, conversations, everything else like that, essentially. So Emma used to come from a background in finance and procurement, and she completed a Bachelor of Commerce and Accounting, and she's essentially drawn to the innovation and the fast pace of change and possibility within tech, and she loves learning. And that's actually a really good point with technology and coding, is that you're never going to stop learning. There's always going to be something new to learn all the time, every time. And with technology, there's definitely no stopping it. So you can do so much with it. And that's what drew Emma to it, was that learning and solving problems, and also being challenged, because again, those are the best things, the best ways that you're going to learn, right, is to challenge yourself and to make mistakes. And she's going to be talking a little bit about herself, but also some of the projects that she has worked on. And I'm really excited to hear in this presentation. So hand it over to you, Emma, and take it away.
Thanks, Ashley. Let me just share my screen. Okay, we all good for the screen?
We are all good, ready to go.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, I started the Fast Track Bootcamp, which is the full-time Monday to Friday 6-month bootcamp. I started that last February. So there's the cute picture of me last year, February, on my way to my first day with my little pack lunch. And I graduated in August 2020. So nearly the entire of my bootcamp happened during the COVID pandemic. So if you have any questions about remote study and how they delivered online, I'm more than happy to ask, because I had an awesome experience. So I came into the bootcamp as a career changer. So I actually have a background in accounting. I did a Bachelor of Commerce. I am a bit of a numbers person. You don't have to be, like, everyone's very different. I'm definitely more of the numbers oriented person. I spent 10 years in various finance roles, procurement roles, did my stint of travel over in Europe and Asia. I was really bored with work, really bored. I would find a lot of the jobs just didn't have that really cool balance of creativity and logic that I wanted. And when I say creativity, I don't mean on the like really artsy level like Louise with her amazing CSS mastery. I'm like, my level of creativity, I can't even draw a stick figure. It's more in how I solve problems and coming up with solutions. I've always been very passionate about like automating and improving business processes, and that's definitely where my creativity shines. So before the bootcamp, my level of coding experience was, yeah, absolute beginner. I had sort of within about the 2 years before starting the course, I went to some intro workshops in Perth as a part of, I joined a group called Perth Web Girls, where I dabbled with HTML, CSS, and a little bit of Python. And I'm talking like a couple of weekenders or nights here and there. And I started to get really interested. So I tried to just dabble on the internet with like the Udemy courses, and the free code camp was very useful. And I thought, oh, I really like this. Then moved to Melbourne because I was in Perth at the time, so that I could actually do the full-time boot camp. And yeah, pressed go and quit my job and just went full-time. It was a crazy decision looking back, absolutely crazy. I didn't really, I didn't know if I was going to be any good at it, but I sort of already knew that I was going to love it. So I'm really, really glad. It's definitely the best decision that I've made. But yeah, level of experience before the course, I could not build a web page. I was a very basic computer user. I didn't know how to use the command line. I didn't know what a HTTP request was. Like, you don't need to be a computer science nerd at all to start. Obviously it helps if you are, but I wasn't. So there you go. And then, so before, after, so here's me now. So I'm working for, as Ash said, so we're a tier 2 consultancy. So it's like a smaller version of people like Accenture and all of that. We're an AWS and Salesforce partner. So yeah, we mostly develop and customize applications for really large businesses on those platforms. They've just put a little like snippet there of some of the languages that I use. So the languages that I learned in the course, obviously that you can't see them here, but I learned the really good skills. Like the language that I use day to day now is called Apex. It's a spin-off from Java, which might sound scary, but really it's just like the big brother of Ruby. And everything that I learned about Ruby and object-oriented programming, all that theory just made it so easy to learn Java. I've literally been at this job for 5 months, and yeah, it's not scary at all. So that's pretty cool. Do use a lot of JavaScript, Sockle, which is pretty much just SQL, and obviously like our own versions of CSS and HTML. So yeah, most of what I do from a day to day is creating solutions for really large enterprises. I'm talking like government organizations, super funds, universities, like really big sort of businesses, like the ones that you buy shares in, the big boys. So it's really fun. Different. So it's definitely not, I don't spend all day doing that fun design and CSS stuff, which is what I can't stand doing anyway. So it's perfect for me. I'm very much a full stack dev. So all of the design is taken care of by the libraries that are provided by the frameworks. So I can do the content, but I don't have to sit there designing the animations. It's all sort of done for me. So I can just get busy writing efficient database queries, which is definitely my passion. So yeah, my day-to-day at the moment looks like, just to give you a bit of a run through, like I work with a few not-for-profits, so helping them with their application form. So even the web page that you see, but not just what you're seeing, but the logic behind that, how things are captured, what validation rules there are, and then automating the process behind that so that they don't need to have 50 staff processing an application. They can just have 2, because it is literally all automated and really clever. Most the days I spend writing database queries, designing new database models, and also like delivering them and changing markup or creating markup. 2 projects I've also done so far have been very, very similar to projects that I had in the course, and that was creating REST APIs. This technical jargon might not make sense yet, but so it's sort of like the technology that lets, so in my case, it was a builder that was integrating with a mortgage broker. And so it let the information travel over the internet all quietly in the background and no one sees what's going on. So yeah, really cool stuff like that. So I thought I'd mention some of the things I found useful at the bootcamp. Some things that they won't make any sense because you don't know what they are yet. I didn't know what most of these technical words or what the process was before I started this course, but I'm sort of more just trying to explain how much, because this is what surprised me, how much I learned at this bootcamp that I actually, 1, needed to land a job, So like whether it be useful for an interview or just having the confidence to land the job or ticking all the boxes on the job ad. And then also it just makes life so much easier when you start working, like Louise said, on your first day, and you know what Git is and you don't freak out. Like, you know, oh, cool, this is something I'm confident with. I got all of this from the course. Yeah, so one of the number one things was like one of the number one highlights, what was really useful was the network that I gained. I still keep in close touch with a few of my students. I mean, even just 2 weekends ago, 10 of us, we went out for lunch, went rooftop bar hopping. Everyone came back to my house, went to the beach. So we're all still really close. We have a Discord channel. We share memes, we share job ads. So that was so useful during the course and also after. Like, we were really supported each other, especially through COVID. And through all of our assignments, but even now, just job hunting and learning new things, it's really cool just to have those connections. So yeah, exposure to so many different technologies, so many tools, lots of industries. It's not like very single focused, it's very broad. You're going to understand like so many different things. It'll probably feel like your head's going to explode because there's too many things, but it's not. Like, even just getting a little bit of an insight into so many things really helps. The theoretical understanding, although for some people they might find it a bit dry, it's so useful. Not only obviously does it end you up with the diploma, but it'll help you with interview questions. But even, I think someone asked a question before, like, how do you go from learning the languages and frameworks that you learn in the course to then using different languages and frameworks in a job? And I think it's the theory for me, because once you learn the theory and you have that foundational knowledge of programming or a particular programming style or a framework or even a source control methodology, you can apply it to lots of different things. So it's like, yeah, you've got that foundation there, and then you can use that in many different ways. It's like a car in a few different colors. It's still a car. So that was, the theory is crucial. It's really crucial and so handy. Learning about MVC architecture, same thing, the theory. I use the theory on a daily basis. It really helps me. Testing, this is huge in your assignments, and I think that was one of the best things. So to be able to go into a job understanding how to write tests, understand the importance of tests, have like experience and exposure with a couple of really widely used testing frameworks and tools is really cool to be able to talk about in interviews and also to be able to do in your real job. Yeah, experience with deployment platforms. Like, some of these things I've already used in my job. I haven't even been there 6 months, like just under 6 months, and I'm already going, oh, so glad I've got experience in this. Documentation, another one of those things that I think people find dry, and this is a crucial part of your assignments, but I found it was really, really good practice and really helped me to be job ready. And so being a developer is not just about writing code. Like Dallas said, we don't sit in a dark corner anymore. Being a developer, we need to be able to communicate. We need to be able to document really well, to be in planning sessions and to leave really good instructions for the people that come behind us as well. So you get a lot of practice in that. You get not just practice, but you get taught best practices. You get to see some really good examples, which will inspire you and help you, and find some really cool tools as well. And even just all the different contacts that you make can link you up to different examples of really good documentation. So many things I probably need to speed up, but yeah, using the command line. So I couldn't use the command line before doing the course, and I'm so grateful that I've learned that skill. Maths, computer science, my absolute favorite topic. I really loved maths. I was a tiny bit scared going into the course because I hadn't done TE maths. I didn't have that trigonometry experience or anything that's super scary, but you will learn everything that you need to learn in a really fun way and with a really supportive environment. So if you're not really strong in maths or you're a bit scared of maths, this is the perfect course because they really do help you, and it is crucial skills that you need in programming because like I use it on a day-to-day basis, because one of the big things I do is writing efficient database queries, and I'm constantly using big O notation. So it's really important, and it isn't scary, and it will be fun. I do promise that. And obviously super useful. We got some fantastic like workshops and tips on how to make awesome LinkedIn profiles. We had time spent and input from people from Coder Academy on how to write our resumes, and that was very useful. And then, yeah, public speaking. I mean, there's so many things that I gained from the course that just really made me job ready, but more so confident as well. Like I haven't just done a 6-month course. I actually feel like I've spent years in this, like immersed in this new world. I feel really equipped. I feel really confident that I can do this. So that was very cool. Oh yeah, and you get a diploma thrown in there, which is awesome. So highlights for me, there was a lot. I've mentioned obviously quite a few. One thing that I did really love, we had weekly mentor talks. So weekly or fortnightly, it wasn't like super structured, but there would be some really interesting different people coming from all over the world, because COVID, we got people coming in virtually they just talk about totally different topics. You'll have someone talking about artificial intelligence, you'll have someone talking about their experience with imposter syndrome. Yeah, you just get to sort of connect with lots of different experts from different industries, and I found that really fascinating. I had really cool teachers down here in Melbourne. They were really patient, really skillful. They made learning, because you learn a lot at a really fast pace, but they made it seem not impossible. They were really encouraging, and they were also very approachable with questions, like just always there for us, whether we wanted a hand or more of a challenge. Like they were ready for whatever question that you throw their way. Another thing that I was very grateful for and was a highlight was the really inclusive culture. I'm not a typical nerd, so I don't play video games, I don't even have TV, I don't watch sci-fi, so I don't read comics. I'm very much like an outdoorsy, sporty, I'm not your classic dev. Also, I'm a female, so like there's a few things that I just was a bit like, oh, am I going to be really the odd one out? But definitely not. Like at Coder Academy, it was just so inclusive, so diverse, and that I think was a beautiful picture of the tech industry at large. And Coder was a very good example of that. So don't be worried if you think you're not going to fit in, because I was worried about that, and you'll be fine, and you'll make some awesome friends. But the biggest highlight for me was, just how relevant and useful all of the projects were, whether it be the things that we had to deliver or just the tools, the frameworks, the languages that we were using. One of the assignments, I think it was in term 1, we made a terminal app. It was literally one of the coding challenges I had for an interview, which I got a job offer from. So everything is incredibly useful, and it's really good practice. So yeah, my hot tips, do it. Best decision, totally the best decision that you'll make. So I was in your shoes a bit over a year ago, so maybe 14 months. I was sitting at like a code review night like this. It was a Tuesday night, it was in person back in the day. I had so many questions, and I was sort of just in that like, not sure mode. It's a lot of money, it's 6 months. And yeah, all I can say, if like that's your thoughts and that's where you're at, do it. It is, for me, the best decision that I've ever made in my life. I'm so happy. I do not watch the clock countdown at work anymore. I work on weekends. Like, it's not work to me, it's fun. I'm so passionate about it. Making really cool friends. It's very challenging and it's so rewarding. Yeah, so thank you. That's all from me.
Awesome. Oh, I'll just switch off my fan just so it doesn't irritate my headphones. All right. Thank you so much, Emma. That was awesome. And you definitely made some very good points as well about, the networking capacity side of things. And there's a lot of networking opportunities out there, and you are going to get a lot of them once you are with Coder Academy. And it's not just like the networking face to face, it's also virtual as well. And being the thing that is called COVID, a lot of networking opportunities are done virtual, which is still just as good. So you're still getting the same value, and you know you're meeting people not just within your city or town.
You still have wine at home as well. It's even though it's virtual.
That's it. But there's also so much that you can do with it as well, which is awesome. So thank you so much, Emma. So I might ask the first question for you, and then we'll wait for the enrollment advice to kick in to ask more questions. So I had a question from Anna. Hi, Anna. And Anna wanted to know, how many interviews did you have before landing the job, and how long after finishing the bootcamp did you get the job?
Okay, great question. So interviews, during the bootcamp, I actually started applying for jobs. My educators encouraged us to do that, which was awesome. Like piece of advice, just reading through the job ads and going through experience of interviews and code challenges was really good practice. So I think I applied for, so about halfway through the bootcamp, I started applying for some would be grad programs that started the next year. But the one that I have the job in now, I think that was probably my third interview. So I hadn't had too many. But so after I finished the course, so then you go into internship. For me, first day of internship, I had 2 job offers. So it was like the best situation, and it was also my 30th birthday, and I was like, all I want for my birthday is a job, and I had 2 jobs to choose from. So yeah, could not be happier, and I feel super grateful for that. Yeah, and they're both really good job offers.
Emma, can I just say your presentation there was fabulous. It was I think authentic is probably the overused word these days, but that was brilliant. Goran, do you want to? So Goran runs our Melbourne end of things as far as course advisors goes. Goran, do you want to take the questions for Emma?
Yeah, absolutely. I always am proud to say that I was the one that took Emma around the campus for a tour. So
yeah.
No worries.
Thank you, Goran.
Mario had a question about automation. You mentioned it. Does this extend to automated unit testing, what you learned? I think you touched base on it a little bit.
Yeah, we do use automated testing in our job. So, but that's not like what I'm talking about when I talk about automating the business processes, but we definitely use that. And I got experience in that. I think it was in the term 3 assignment. Yeah, so it was great experience. And actually, I think I've already used in my job the exact same tool that we used from the assignment.
That's good.
Very useful.
And just because we teach you to become a junior full stack developer doesn't mean that you can't venture out and do other stuff in the IT industry, like software tester or software support, anything you like. Does your job involve using AWS a lot?
My projects that I've been working on so far don't, but the rest of my team, it does, like a lot. Day to day, they're all AWS certified. I think I'll sort of head in that direction maybe in a couple of years, or maybe in a year. I usually aim too high, but so yeah, that's optional though. Like I think it's a really awesome tool, and my company does. We're obviously an AWS partner, so they ask us to be certified in that. And we have a lot of projects. So like, for people that might be like, what on earth is this? So one of the like practical examples of it is, so we'll do create a solution for a company that has their call center. So people make phone calls and they take the voice recording, save that onto that person's profile, and then the software sort of filters through that voice recording, picks out the sentiment with artificial analysis and notifies the right people and puts the right level of priority on that particular case. Like, it was a really upset phone call, it will notify. So it's really interesting technology, and that's all done with AWS. So it's like a lot of voice and AI.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Another question from Anna. Did you do self-study for those languages not included in the bootcamp, or did you take any extra courses?
Before or after?
After, I would say after.
So after completing the boot camp, well, obviously went straight into working. So I had, I think, a week of study time in my first week of work before I started my first real project, and everything else I've been learning on the job. So the most useful thing for me, and I think the only reason I've been able to do it is, so learning Ruby, it's an object-oriented programming language, and it's like pretty much learning Java. Java's just got a few more different things that I had to understand, but all the concepts were there. So I was able to translate that really easily. So I didn't need to do any courses in between. I do study a few nights a week. I do a couple of hours on the weeknights and maybe a couple of hours on the weekend, but that's because I love learning. And that does help me, but I didn't have to do them before starting to work.
Yeah, and the employers know that they don't get seniors straight away. They allow you to learn on the job, and
Exactly.
that's very important.
Yeah.
Cool. How important was your professional experience from prior to the boot camp in securing the role?
I think it played a part more probably in just communication skills. Maybe I didn't need the skills that I had from my professional life previously in my current job now, but things that I've learned, such as project management, time management, communication, they are useful and transferable and maybe would have shown through in an interview, but also they were very honed and they were very focused on, and I had a really good opportunity to practice them and strengthen them during the course. Like project management, time management, it's a must, and it's a really good thing to practice for that 6 months if you do the full-time bootcamp.
Yeah, nice. Well, we should start a club, Finance Rejects. You, me, Caleb. There's
Yeah,
a bunch of us.
So Caleb as well. Yeah, we got bored.
Yeah. Okay, Arturo asks, how many hours did you spend studying during weekdays and on the weekends? You said that you study and work on the weekends?
So during the course?
During the course and maybe after as well.
Yeah. So during the course, it was a very intense 6 months for me. I did work part-time while I could. So in the times that we weren't in lockdown in Melbourne, I worked. So I think sometimes I was doing 4 shifts a week. I loved what we were doing every day. So I think maybe I'd average 10 hours a week. So maybe if I did like a Tuesday night, a couple of hours, and maybe a Sunday afternoon, maybe 5 hours, but not always. So some weeks you wouldn't do too much out of the course, and some weeks you would because you've got an assignment due, and I usually go overboard. So you didn't have to. There was plenty of time in class, but I was always exploring things that we were given. If we wanted extra work or challenges, we were always given challenge work. Like if you've run out of everything else and you're bored, here's some extra stuff to go and explore. So you can do that out of hours, or you can work your second job if you need to.
Cool. That, I guess it depends on the person in the end.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we have? Could you illuminate 2 awesome things you love about working at a consulting firm? Accenture was always a company I was curious about what working there would be like. So really keen to get your take working in a similar company. This is from Caleb.
Cool. So I work in a much smaller consultancy, which I like. It's definitely got more of the startup culture. So I was terrified of the big boys after having worked for Ernst & Young. I don't like when things move super slow and there's lots of like bureaucracy. So it is slightly different, but things that I really love is obviously just the huge amounts of experience you'll find in the network of people you work with. Really interesting. The company I work, we have different like squads. So people focus on different things. So I'm in the developer squad, but there's other squads that they have different specializations. So you get to just connect, like even if it's the monthly virtual coffee catch up you have with a random, you get to meet some really fascinating, really interesting people. Yeah, that's useful.
Cool. Okay, how much more skill do you need to work with SQL databases? This is in regards to the level of knowledge provided with the bootcamp versus the required knowledge that was needed to be comfortable working with databases like SQL.
So during the bootcamp, I actually, like some of the meetup events I went to were talks on how to be an SQL master or whatever it was. And I tried to go as many meetups as possible. So I learned some little nifty tricks and things there. During the course, I also got signed up to this thing called a GitHub developer pack, which is like discount codes and free memberships for things. I got a free membership to a course from having my student ID, which I did. And I think that was just a 2-day course that I did over the weekends, and that really helped me with SQL. But I had the foundation there. So just understanding relational databases is probably what you need. And then learning SQL is just, yeah, it will only take a couple of days.
It's a breeze. I agree.
Yeah.
I've got one more last question. And if anyone wants to ask more, join in. How much did the imposter syndrome affect you, if it did at all?
Not so much for me. I was really lucky in that I feel like I learned everything I needed to know for my job at the course. Like I really did. I haven't had too many things that I've sat in my job and gone, I don't know what people are talking about. Like Louise said, learned about Git, you learned about, just everything from the practical to the theoretical. So I didn't have that huge freak out. Well, I haven't yet. I've been very confident and quite capable in my job. My bosses are really impressed. So I've definitely learned everything that I need to learn to help me get past that.
What about the boot camp itself, Emma? So like imposter syndrome while you're at the boot camp, whether you think, you're in the right place, are you doing the right thing, Yeah.
That for me, I didn't have, I think I was surrounded by a really good bunch of people, like my fellow students. We kept in touch every day, and like we were really open from day one about like what our challenges were, whether, hey, I'm struggling with this, like I feel like this person in the class is so much better at that than me. We had each other to bounce that off, and we sort of realized quite early on we have different strengths and we all have different interests as well, and we don't all have to be good at the same things. So really supportive culture, so I didn't feel that a lot.
Emma, there's a question there from Mario, I think we might have just missed. Says, with so many developers in the market with so much experience, what do you think made you stand out at interview, especially as you were only starting in the industry?
I feel like the Coder Academy Bootcamp is looked on very fondly. I think people know what grads are like from this bootcamp and how they can hit the ground running. I think that really helps. There are other bootcamps available. They're pretty light on, they're pretty short, they're pretty rushed. So I definitely think that helped. Bring your personality to your interviews. Just be you, talk about what you're interested in, what you're great at. And I think that really helped to stand out. But I don't think you should be super scared of there being a lot of competition in the market. There's also a lot of demand. I know at the moment we're hiring so many devs, that we're constantly hiring. It's a really booming industry. So don't be scared, just get the skills and get out there. And once you've got some experience and the skills on your resume, like the world is your oyster.
I completely agree. And I dropped a link in the chat just then, course report, our school in course report. There's not many places that tell you go look us up online and read the reviews. We're very happy to say this, and if you don't believe everyone tonight, go and read on course report, and you'll see the nice words about Coder Academy. And we don't make them say these things. Well, I think we're good with Emma. Thanks, Emma, so much.
Thank you.
I guess we can slowly start wrapping things up. Guys, any other questions? Anything else you wanted to drop for anyone? Not just Emma. We got Ash, we got Dallas, we got Brendan, myself. Anna says pozdrav. I'll understand that. I don't know for the rest of you.
So guys, if there are any final questions, drop them in now. We're happy to stay here and chat for as long as you like, really. But other than that, I think all we need to do is thank the three graduates for coming in and telling their stories. And if there are no other questions, I think we might we might all go to bed. What do you think?
Hey, Mario, yeah, no, being 50 is not going to hold you back. Don't worry about that. Essentially, as long as you come in and you're passionate and, to learn, no one's ageist, especially in the industry. There's a lot of, older people in the industry that, might get pushed out purely for like not staying up to date with new tech. But to be honest, there could be a young person that just hasn't stayed up to date, and they would be in the same boat, really. So as long as you're up to date, and Coder Academy does its best to stay at the pointy end of tech. So we'll teach you, what's relevant now in the industry. Then you'll be fine. Not a problem at all.
Mario, I'm nearly 50, and Dallas had his 50th about 5 years ago. So
we got you back, Mario.
I think we had a 60-year-old plus. Where was it? Sydney? A couple of intakes ago, and he finished the course.
2 over 40s in my cohort. They were awesome. They fit in. Yeah, fun work.
We had one that was just about to turn 60 in our fast track course, August 2019, which is amazing. And like you said before, like it's just about having that curiosity to learn, but to try new things, but also to challenge yourself. Because definitely with devs from juniors to seniors, you are going to make mistakes. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, because that's how you're going to learn, is by making those mistakes,
Mario, you've brought out a lot of people throwing their ages in here now. we could have an over 40s cohort. Yeah, but Mario, you say that the jobs you're looking at in the Seek are asking for so much. You just listen to the guys today. You get so much. I think that's the point. And look, I mean, you're never going to learn everything in one boot camp. But Coder Academy, as I know you and I have spoken on the phone, Mario, we are the most intense. We are the longest. And if you want a job in tech, why would you do the shortest, quickest training? You want the longest, most intense, because that's what employers appreciate. That's what they're looking for. So ultimately, if you don't learn it in the Coder Academy Bootcamp, you will learn it very soon afterwards, but you are prepared to learn it. And I think that's what various of the speakers have said, that you don't just learn the stuff, you learn how to think, and you learn how to move into other languages, so that new languages are not such a big deal.
For sure. I mean, you can't go wrong, really. I mean, Coder Academy is like the only accredited coding bootcamp in Australia. And also we have opportunity for internships at the end. So, I mean, it's like, whether you're looking to sort of upskill in a certain area, or you're looking to, get employed afterwards, or even if you're looking for something as a stepping stone to go to uni afterwards, recognition of prior learning. You really can't go wrong with joining us. Just be passionate and be willing to get ready to learn about code.
There's a question there about work experience from as far as the instructors are concerned. Look, to be honest, I'm not even sure who's teaching which courses coming up around the different states. Dallas, Goran, you might be able to throw some more in there. But essentially, there is one lead trainer in each cohort, in each city. And then one or more assistant trainers, and between them, they've got industry experience and or academic experience, and or people experience, which is probably the biggest one. You want to add anything to that, Goran?
And or coder graduates. So graduates that have gone into industry, worked, and then they decided to give back. So we have teachers like that as well.
Hey, Ash,
Okay.
do you know any instructors?
Funny you should say that, Dallas. It's a very good question. So I'm going to be an instructor from next month, which is amazing. So that's going to be awesome. But it's not about me. It's about the evening, which is amazing. So I can definitely say, look, definitely the instructors, I can definitely, agree with everything that has been mentioned. that the instructors that come from a wealth of experience within the tech space, but also the teaching space, and also the people space as well, because that's what makes a fantastic instructor, is by sharing their knowledge, but also imparting so much inspiration, you know. And where I come into the picture, I've been with Coda now for over 3 years, since January 2018, which is incredible. And during that time, I've, delved into the community side of things with the tech space. And that also gave me a really good introduction to the partnerships, which I used to do. And I've done student services. And before I came to Coda, I was also a sessional academic for a university in Brisbane. So I did that for 2 years, and that gave me a really good introduction to teaching and the marking of the assignments, which we won't go there. It's a very time-consuming task, but it's incredible for me to give back. It's about giving back and to be able to encourage and to mentor, which I think is like a big plus for me, as well as being able to mentor. And you get a lot of that mentor experience, but also, and that's actually a really good segue, is that I'm going to talk about Brisbane as an example, and I'm sure this will be the same for Sydney, Melbourne, and every other city and country as well, is that there's always coding workshops, particularly for women in tech. And the reason being for that is that there's a strong sense for bringing in more women in tech. And I'm having a look at the attendee list. I could see quite a few have also enrolled, but they've also applied for the Women in Tech Scholarship, which is really amazing to see. And so for Brisbane, for example, we have Muses Code JS, which run free one-day workshops. It's always on a weekend, so you've got the weekend there. Rails Girls, She Codes, Django Girls. I'm pretty sure I'm missing one or two, but hopefully they'll be coming back this year. So for anyone that's interested in that, you can definitely check that out. But obviously with the pandemic, see how things go with that. But if you have a look at the details on the website, follow them on Twitter, LinkedIn, or sign up to the mailing list, it'll have all the details on there as well.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ash. I just wanted to quickly speak to Dung's question a little bit. He's actually asking about biggest challenges from working in the tech industry from someone coming from a completely different field. To be honest, look, like I said before, I've said it a million times, as long as you're passionate, and willing to put the hard yards in to learn, then there shouldn't be a problem at all. And if anything, moving into the tech industry, with experience in an entirely different industry is going to benefit you more, purely because basically people want to hire people that are diverse and have something new to bring to the table. So you might use knowledge that you have, gained from your previous industry, and you'll be able to use it in tech in ways that other people wouldn't be able to. So it's only going to help you in the long run.
And career changes is our motto, pretty much. So we've had all sorts of industry professionals coming from different industries. We just had a pilot from Qantas change career. Before that, we had dog groomers who never opened a laptop. So yeah, it's all over the place.
Mario, you're going to find your tribe, mate. All right, guys. So I think we've probably time to wind it up. As someone said about half an hour ago, it was a little early for bed. Well, now it's not. I'm all right, guys. So I'm gonna hit the kill button here. Thank you very much, everybody who took the time. Thank you very much to the speakers. Thanks to Dallas and to Goran and to Ashley. And we'll be speaking to, I'm sure, many of you over the next few days. And I hope you've got something useful out of this. All right, guys. Good night, everybody. See you.
See you, everyone.